Welcome back to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show on Radio Jandu. The show is about conversations that matter, and we invite all walks of life to come on and share their heart stories. And we are so honored to have the director and the producer of a movie that has been released last weekend, and it's about to be relaunched again this weekend, called Idia. Please welcome Patience Okhuofu to the show. How are you doing today?
Patience Okhuofu. I'm fine, Nikki.
Okhuofu. I tried. I'm very good. So that's Patience Okhuofu. I'm sorry. But thank you very much for taking the time out to chat with us today. And I know you've been traveling quite a bit and, introducing your film to a number of different locations. And it's going to be introduced to us once again in Toronto on Saturday, October 27th. So we're really, really thrilled for that, and congratulations. It's a huge, huge accomplishment.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we met over the summer. I met you through another sister in the screen life. She is the producer and director of a number of Nollywood films, Isoken. And so we connected through there, and then realized that you have the same passion that you're following. So it's just amazing, and I love to follow and support what you're doing in the film industry. So before we talk about what you're doing presently, let's talk about your story leading up to where you are today. How did that happen?
Well, like you already know, my name is Patience Okhuofu. I'm originally from Nigeria. I'm from the Yoruba tribe in Delta State, and I was born in Benin City, where I grew up, and I developed a love for arts and entertainment. While in Nigeria, I trained as a theater artist with concentration in directing, and in 1998, I migrated to the U.S. and I continued my love for theater. I went back to school. I studied at the Montclair State University in New Jersey, and I got my BFA in theater arts as well. But this time I concentrated in production design. Well, upon graduation, I enlisted in the U.S. Army. So I served in the U.S. Army for 8 years as a multimedia illustrator and a public affairs rep. After I got out from the U.S. Army, I decided to go back to school. I went to school to study fashion design. I have an associate degree in fashion design. By the end of that program, it was a 2-year program, I still had that yearning to learn more about the art of directing. And most filmmakers will attest to the fact that directing for stage and directing for film are two different beasts entirely. So I decided to apply to New York Film Academy to study filmmaking. And upon graduation from filmmaking, I wanted to understand the other aspect of filmmaking, which is behind the camera, the cinematography aspect of it. So I went back to school a second time and I studied cinematography. So right now that makes me a director, a designer, both fashion and graphics, a producer, and a cinematographer. I currently have my own production company called Patelvo Productions, and that's a production company that's bringing Idia, the Ida War, to Albion Cinema this Saturday.
Fantastic. So you are a quadruple threat. I mean, you do everything, which is phenomenal. And it's so exciting for me to hear that there are Black women who are really dominating the film industry, and they're not just taking one angle; they're doing it all, like you're doing. So you're really breaking down barriers, and I really appreciate how you're paving that way. But let me find out more about the movie. So I know it's coming out Saturday, and we're all excited about it. So what is Idia? Is there a theme behind that? Is it a name of someone? And maybe talk about some of the characters in the film.
Okay. Queen Idia, she was a queen from the Benin Kingdom, and it's an actual story. It's not a fiction. It's a true life story. It's a historical piece.
Nice.
long before we had the women rights movement, in the West, there were women like Queen Idia of the Great Benin Kingdom, who fought to have the woman's voice heard in the society. She was the first African queen who went to war to defend the throne of her son. When there was a threat to the throne of her son, and she took up arms and went to war to defend that throne. And in honor of his mother, which is Queen Idia, Oba Esige, which is the son that was on the throne at that time, commissioned a mask to honor his mother. That mask was was among the artifacts that was looted when the British invaded Benin in 1897. And that mask is currently in the possession of the British. So the story of Queen Idia is a story that I've always wanted to bring to the big screen, because I'm passionate about my culture, about my story. So a lot of people see the mask and they see, they say, oh, we can relate to that. That mask is the Festac 77 mask. That mask represents Africa. I'm like trying to let people know that it's not just a mask. It's not just an art piece. There's a story behind it. So, and that is why I'm showing this film, everywhere, for people to know the story behind it. This film is just a short film, which I shot for my thesis when I was studying for filmmaking. I shot a short film because I'm planning to shoot the feature film next year. We're currently in the development phase, looking for investors to come on board, to invest in the feature film, which we plan to start shooting next year, God willing.
Well, congratulations, and I know God will provide. If He's taken you this far, He'll take you all the way. And what I was just thinking was that when I was growing up, and I'm dating myself, I loved the movie series Roots. Because it was so important for me as a child to understand, where our legacy comes from, from the West Indies, where I'm originally from, Jamaican, and where blacks who are, newly immigrated to Canada or United States, or have had a long history in North America through the transatlantic slave, when that happened, slave trade. So sometimes there's a disconnect, and we need to understand what our roots are. So when you have films like this, I really resonate with it, because it's so important to understand the richness of the history, and it's very important. So I just wanted to know, would you ever consider like a TV series where that's concerned, if that opportunity came your way?
Yes, I will. I will consider a TV series. Like I said, I've spoken to most people about, the story itself. You just said it. We need to tell our stories. We need to let people know. I tell people all the time, nobody can tell your story better than you. If we don't step up and start telling our stories, then, down the road, our children will know much about our history. We need to tell our story, because no one can tell it better than us, because our history will become foggy in our minds. Not to talk of the minds of our children who don't even know the history. And before you know it becomes extinct. So we need to put it out there for people to know that, these are women or these are men that paved the way for who we are today. Exactly.
And we are so blessed to have the digital form of expressing this story, and it should not be lost. And of course, the richness of the oral tradition of storytelling is for me an art form. So that shouldn't be lost either, and that should be taught to our children. So I'm very happy to hear the movement that you're leading. So how can people know more about who you are, and also to buy tickets for the movie that's coming up on Saturday, and just follow you on social media and show you love? Where can they go?
Well, social media is the main thing right now, right? I'm on. You can find me on Instagram under the handle PatOvo1. That's PAT_OVO1. or Patovo, which is Patovo production. So any of those, you can find me on there. My Facebook page is kind of relegated to just my friends, my close friends and family. But for social media, I go on my Instagram. You can reach me through there. And for the tickets, you can get the tickets at Albion Cinema, where that's the venue we're screening on Saturday, October 27th at 7 p.m. 6 p.m. is the red carpet, and 7 p.m. is the screening time. So you can get a ticket at the bus office, or you can get tickets on Eventbrite, eventbrite.com, and in the search you type in Idia and Isio. Because apart from being a producer, a director, cinematographer, and a designer, I'm also a promoter. And I'm promoting the film Isio. It's a film directed by an award-winning Nollywood director, a woman who happens to also be my cousin and my namesake. People tend to confuse it. Oh, Patience, you directed it too? I'm like, no. Idia, the Ida War, is directed by Patience Okhuofu, which is me, my humble self. And Isio is directed by Patience Okhuofu, and that's my cousin. We tend to love Patience in my family.
Patience is a virtue, but that's
I try
fantastic.
To be patient.
Well, I so appreciate what you shared with us, and it's been very inspirational to me, and I know that people listening will be very motivated to learn more about their history or to know more about the Benin history, as well as just the story of strong females and how they've overcome and how they've led people to victory. So I think that's a great narrative for everyone. I just want to thank you.
Yeah, just one more thing, because somebody was when we had one of the screenings, somebody was like, "Oh, why are you concentrating on just Benin?" And I'm like, they say charity, they say, begins from home, right? And I want to tell the stories of women, especially. I'm not trying to be feminist, but I just feel there are a lot of women out there who, one way or the other, have impacted our society, but nobody tells their story. You hear more of the men, the story of the men more than the women. So I'm starting from Queen Idia because, like I said earlier on, I was born in Benin City. I grew up in Benin, and Benin has a very rich cultural heritage. And being that I grew up in Benin, I'm starting from where I grew up, which is Benin City, by telling the story of the Queen Mother, Iyoba, Queen Idia. And my company, we tend to after Queen Idia, we're moving. We're not just settling in Nigeria per se. I'm not trying to settle just in Africa also, because all around the globe, there are people, there are women, there are men, unsung heroes who have done something in their community. So the aim of my company, Patovo Productions, is to go out there and find those stories about our unsung heroes, especially women unsung heroes, and tell their stories.
Excellent. Well, it's like I said, it's just been a pleasure listening to you, and I wish you all the best for this upcoming Saturday. Definitely, we're following each other on social media. You have to follow Patience and learn more about what she's doing, and I know you've got some amazing upcoming events in the near future. So I just want to thank our very special guest, Patience, and tell us your last name so I don't mess it up again.
My Patience Okhuofu.
Okhuofu, there you go. And she is the director and producer of EDS. So you've got to check it out. You don't want to miss this piece of history. And we look forward to catching up with you very soon. So you've been listening to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show on Radio John Doe. Patience, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you for having me, Nikki. Have a blessed day.
My pleasure. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Bye.